One of the most terrifying phrases in modern American culture is "I believe." I believe, we believe, you believe, they believe. And the reason that this is the source of so many woes within our society and politics is the lack of accountability. Many institutions and people just say they believe. Now, they don't have to provide any evidence for why they believe something. They just say, I believe. And this goes for left-wing, right-wing politics. And I'm not joking when you think deeply about it. It's the source of almost every problem that we have in America today. For example, why is the price of housing so expensive? Why is the homelessness problem so bad? Now, we could sit here and talk about the evidence. I've talked about that on other videos. But you have all kinds of politicians that believe all kinds of things. That doesn't make them true, of course. But we've been taught as well, at least unfortunately, millennials and Gen Z, my generation, that you can live your own truth. That there really isn't any truth. You're living your own truth. And so if you can live your own truth, you can just say, I believe. Now, again, in reality, that doesn't make it true. And it's the source of almost every problem. Why are there certain religious wars in the Middle East? I believe. Recently, I was involved in, true story, for those that know me well, involved in a lawsuit with a public entity near where I live. And I was the plaintiff and prevailing party. I must commend the judge. He was very good at looking at the evidence in this case, not what someone believes. And the lawsuit revolved around asking for public information from a local public entity that I think has not nearly enough accountability that's in my town. And basically, the public information records requests that for this entity that we're all paying for were for videos in public spaces from the cameras they have. And their main legal argument, I'm not joking, was they believed that it hurt their security and a whole host of other stuff for which they provided little to no evidence for, other than they said they believed it. And thankfully, the judge ruled in my favor. And in one of my final briefs, I said that this public entity cannot continue to live in a reality of its own making, free from the constraints of evidentiary beliefs, not just beliefs because they want to believe. And I think I did an okay job. I actually represented myself through most of it. But the point is, that is the wrong of our day. And again, you can attribute this to just about every wrong you can think of. Why have the last two administrations, presidential administrations, sucked so bad? Because you have all kinds of idiots out there that believe all kinds of things. That doesn't, again, make them real, doesn't make them true, doesn't make them based on facts. And doesn't make them based on sound evidence, studies that were well put together. Just they believe. In fact, the other day, my city, I was looking because we now have some ordinances against unhoused individuals that are living in RVs and whatnot. And many of these people can't afford proper housing. And I believe, see, I did it. Based on the evidence, though, that I have exhaustively looked into, that low-cost, inexpensive housing would help many, not maybe all, but many of these people get adequate housing and get out of their RV or tent or whatever. But my city actually had the gall to put on their ordinance that they believe, I'm not kidding, verbatim, that it was best to treat these people with compassion, as if to suggest letting people sleep in a dumpy RV on the street is compassionate, instead of providing them adequate, inexpensive housing, or just even modest housing. But that's where we're at with politicians and everything, I believe. And it's troubling, it's disturbing. And you'll notice when one person believes something stupid based on no evidence or no substantial or decent evidence, they usually believe a lot of other stupid shit. It makes you wonder, these politicians believe one dumb thing. It's like, what other stupid crap do they believe? Well, I think we can all fall for this trap to some degree. All of us want to believe certain things. But good policy is not made from beliefs. It's made from evidence. I'm just dumbing this down as simply as I can. But unfortunately, that's not the way a lot of our leaders, politicians, and everyday people around us live their lives. And that's unfortunate. Another example. Talking to somebody the other day and they said they didn't believe that there was a relationship dating problem. And then I showed him how birth rates, evidence, are at all-time lows. And he refused to believe that. Now, of course, that doesn't make it true. I believe that I'm right based on the evidence. But a lot of people just believe because they want to believe. And that's too bad. That is why, if you want to put simply into one compartment, why the country in the United States and the society is the nightmare that it is, that's why.